If it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, 'cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm. And crow your coins, you gotta crow your coins. Crow your coins, crow your coins. Crow your coins, you gotta crow your coins. Crow your coins, crow your coins. Crow your coins, you gotta crow your coins. Crow your coins, crow your coins. Crow your coins, you gotta crow your coins.
All right, so I was born in the Ukraine, and I immigrated, my parents immigrated to Israel, and Jason doesn't even know it. Thanks, Jason, for inviting me, by the way. But when I was a kid growing up in Israel, I had a business. I was 16 years old, my motorcycle, I was running around town selling, buying things. My nickname was the Cincinnati Kid. I couldn't make this stuff up, right? I had no clue what the Cincinnati Kid meant. Only when I came to America, I watched the movie, and obviously then I was like, oh God, now I understand what they're talking about. So anyway, so I came to the US 30 years ago, and I started 7 different companies. Anyone here started 7 companies? It's like being a serial killer, you know, like it's like self-inflicted torture. Most people do one company and say, oh my God, that was so painful, you know? That was so much effort. You have to put so much love into every one of those things, right? I mean, it's just endless, right? And I have 6 kids at home. So it's like, you know, 2 more kids and I'm done, you know? No, but seriously, the point is, like, our entire life, right, is the pursuit of happiness. We're not finding happiness when we get to the destination. It's all about the pursuit of happiness. And the problem is that today, you see how I'm, what do you call it? Today, we're all stuck in that pyramid on the left. Most of us are stuck at the bottom of the pyramid. Most of us are working really hard. We're putting everything we have into it, but we cannot rise. We cannot really achieve our dreams or deliver for our kids or buy the house of our dreams and all the other stuff. And the reason for that is that the system is really rigged. The system is designed to make sure that the people at the top, the 1%, I'm part of the 1%. I had amazing exits. I created 2 companies that were unicorns. Do you guys know what a unicorn is? Few people? What? So 2 unicorns in New York, right? RobinHood, which is a public company on NASDAQ, and Transit Wireless, which is the company that provides all the wireless services in the subways in New York, right? 8 million people use it every day. So I made a lot of money, and I'm looking at my kids, I look at my 6 kids, and I'm like, they don't have that opportunity. The American dream is not a life for them as it was for me. And the reason for that is that we're all stuck in that pyramid. We're all stuck in a system that is designed to deliver for the 1% and not for the 99%. So when we're talking about centralization versus decentralization, and when I always use this phrase, all roads lead to decentralization, right? Like all roads lead to Rome. Why do all roads lead to decentralization? Because you cannot take 7.5 billion people and take away the dream from them and think that nothing is going to happen. Okay? What's going to happen is going to be a major revolution. And this time the revolution is about all the money in the world. Okay? The internet was about what? What was the internet revolution about? Information. Google, one of the most profitable companies in the world, gave you free email and give you a search engine. This is all the fucking money in the world. What's bigger? Do you understand? So when people get excited about the internet, I laugh at them. I'm like, you guys don't understand. This is everything. Okay? If we can reinvent what money is and how money touches things and how money is transacted, this is all the money in the world. So on the left side, you're measured by what? When you go to work, today all of you skipped work, right? But when you go to work, what are you measured by? Your boss measures you based on what? How much money you make, exactly. How much profit did you deliver for me, right? And if you didn't do enough, I'm going to fire your ass, right? Go work even harder. But in the new world, it's not based on how much money you made. What did Vitalik contribute? Did Vitalik make any money? How much money did Ethereum make to date? Ethereum. How much? 0. How much money did Bitcoin make until today? 0. Bitcoin itself, or Ethereum itself. These are non-profit institutions. Most projects on the blockchain are non-profit. So how can it be that the network is worth $60 billion or more, but the creators basically, or the company is worth nothing, right? And that's the future, because in the future, I live all by myself in the future. You know, I came to you guys from a time machine. In the future, we are measured based on our contribution to society, not based on our profit, how much profit we generated for the man. Okay? So you have to choose. Where are you going to live? Are you going to live in the pyramid, or are you going to live in the circle? That's why our logo is a circle. Some of our competitors have a pyramid actually as a logo, if you check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Crow Trader. No longer do you have to be a power trader to make profits in the market. Crow Trader is easy to use, powerful, and customizable. An algorithmic cryptocurrency trading bot that sounds difficult, but makes automated trading a breeze. 6 powerful trading strategies, including Bollinger Bands, EMA Sniper, Ichimoku Cloud, Ping Pong, and others, with more to come. Complete backtesting for every market pair so you can see the effectiveness of a strategy using historical price data. Customize your strategies to operate the way you want them to, and let Crow Trader trade the market while you're sleeping. Save and share your customized settings or load settings of other users from within the community. You are never alone. Tweak your settings until content for best earning potential, and then turn on paper trading to find out how effective your strategy is in real time without risking any capital in your experiments. Run Crow Trader on your favorite exchanges such as CoinBase Pro or Binance, with new exchanges coming soon. With Crow Trader, you are never alone, as our growing community aims to help one another find success in the market. Once content, turn on live trading for your market pairs and let Crow Trader get to work improving your position using base pairs such as Bitcoin, US dollar, or Ethereum. Get Crow Trader now at crowtrader.com and start trading today. So every day when you transact, every day when you use your credit card, you make a deposit into a bank account, you choose, you select, are you supporting the guys on the left, or are you supporting the guys on the right? You have options. You can use the Monarch app to pay people, but you choose not to. You choose to give your money to Bank of America or Wells Fargo, all those guys, all the people who are stealing from you every day. These are the people that are holding you down. You can't blame anybody else. You can only blame yourself, because we, the people, are the ones who make sure that the pyramid stays in charge. So this war, it's a war. This is not a little skirmish. This is a war between centralization and decentralization. Anyone disagrees with me? I have a t-shirt. So if you really believe in decentralization, you have to join the military. Okay, I was in the military for 3 years. Okay, in combat, not like in the military behind the desk. Okay, and that's not fun, man. It's really not fun. All these people that tell you, oh my God, you know, it's so much fun. They have no idea. They've never been in the front line where people are shooting at you and all that stuff. So
This is war. Do you think the guys on the left, do you think Wells Fargo or JP Morgan is going to just let you take all the money from them? So what are you guys doing about it? How are you joining the fight, right? Education, right? If each one of us brought 10 people into decentralization, we would make some progress. But today, most of the people in this business are here for what? Make a quick profit, speculation. You get a shirt for that one, for sure. I'm going to run out of shirts quick. So, look, the point is, the reason I stopped everything, you know, again, my wife thinks I'm crazy, right? It's her birthday tomorrow. She's like, you're going where? Cincinnati? Why do you do it? You live in a beautiful house in Manhattan. You have everything. Where is this fire? How do I put it out? Where do I have to pour water to put out that fire? You know? But the reason I dropped everything and I'm doing this is because after 11 years, we've made no progress. I'm sorry. You know, why am I saying that? I'm saying it because in 1994, I had a brilliant idea that all of you use today called voice of IP. Anyone here used voice of IP today? Guess what? Who invented voice of IP? Right? I didn't send you a check and I didn't send you a bill and say pay me for making your phone calls or whatever, but the phone company used to charge us $3 a minute. Right? Anyone remembers that? Calling overseas? 30 cents? Cincinnati Bell, I used to work with them. Cincinnati Bell charging you 30 cents to make a local call, and now it's free. So how did that happen? We took the power back from the monopoly and gave it back to the people. Right? We left the old rails of the phone company, the TDM networks, and all the stuff that they've built, and we switched it to a TCP/IP-based network that is free. That is a decentralized the internet is a decentralized network. And then what happened, right? Companies like Facebook and others came and centralized the internet, and now they're extracting blood out of us every day. Billions of dollars in profit. Google, Facebook, all these companies, right? Who's letting them do that? Who can we blame? Only ourselves. Only ourselves. So now we get a second chance. How many times God gives you a second chance? Not a lot. Well, we got a second chance, and God is telling you, listen, the first time, that was just a little experiment. That was just about information and a search engine and this and that. This time, it's about all the money in the fucking world. What are you going to do? Are you going to make the same mistake again? I'm not trying to entertain you. I'm trying to make sure you actually take some action this time. Because I left everything, the comforts of being successful, resting on my laurels, to make sure that we cross the chasm and not fall into the chasm. Because right now, looking at this, I think we're going to fall into the chasm. I don't see us crossing the chasm. So let's do a history lesson, right? Anyone here is a history buff? You already got a shirt. You're not getting anything. What else? All right, here we go. There's a history buff all the way in the back. You ready? All right. So that wasn't for you, Jason. Give it up. So I have your size. I have a XXX, you know. So the history lesson is that for 2,000 years, money was controlled by one city, not even a country, but one city called what? Rome. They made a gold coin that was accepted all around the world, and it was actually backed by gold. The coin was the gold. Remember in the movies how people bite the coin to make sure that it's actually gold, and so on and so on. Who came after? Come on. You got the shirt. You can't just get on your phone. Come on. Who came after the Roman Empire? Who was the first empire after the Roman Empire? No, guys, British. Come on. The British were pirates right there. The British were just a pirate island that was trying to steal stuff from other people. There was nothing in England. Okay? The Portuguese pillared the Americas, and suddenly they had more gold than anybody else. And they became rich and famous for 2 minutes. Okay? Up. Oh my God, I spilled the beans. That's it. Right? So you can see every 100 years, we handed off the baton from one empire to another. But most of the time, it was gold and gold and gold. And then what did we get? When we came to the United States, what did we get? What kind of money? You got a clue right there on the left. Come on.
We had the Brent 1 system until August 15th of 71.
That's right. So a day after that, the money was backed by?
Absolutely nothing.
Cotton. Cotton. You see, I got the clue right there. Your money is made out of cotton. 80% cotton, 20% paper. Well, in 71, it was still backed by gold, because even when you went off the gold standard, you haven't had time to print trillions of dollars. So, exactly. Well, guess what? Your money is cotton. We went from gold to cotton. Great job, guys. We're moving forward. Right? So now, how much did the dollar lose since 1971 when we went off the gold standard? Over 95% of its value. Now, if we didn't print any money, how much would it lose? It wouldn't lose any of its value. The only reason dollars lose value is because we're printing trillions of dollars worth of this fake money that we're the only country in the world that can just print this stuff and nothing happens. But can we keep that going? Right? So everybody's telling us you can't keep this going, and people with the Fed, and who prints money, by the way? It's not the government. It's all digital. You got a shirt. You can't answer any more questions, you know. The Fed does not print money. Okay? Banks print money. Banks create IOUs. They create, with the system of fractional reserve, they create credit. Right? They have license to print. But they print it on an Excel spreadsheet and they put it in their safety box, you know? So all of you give your money to the banks. How much do you get paid? Anyone here gets paid more than 3%? 2%? I got a shirt for you if you're getting more than 2%. Come on. One person, there's got to be somebody here who figured out how to get 2% out of your bank. Most of you get 1% or less. Here, one guy. All right, here. I think I got one left more. You know how I score all my basketball shots, right? We got to get on the same team, you know? You're going to be my center. We're going to... So the point is that you cannot continue doing the same thing and think that we can... I mean, what are we doing when we print money? We're reaching into the future. We're borrowing from our grandchildren, and we're giving it to ourselves today. Debt is just a borrow from the future. Okay? So if you think of this as like a storefront, right? In the front of a store, the real estate is an all-time high, and the stock market is an all-time high, and the bond market is all-time high. Every asset class is an all-time high. But what's behind the curtain? Here, where no one's showing you. What's behind the curtain? More debt than all of the assets put together. Right? No one is talking about that. No one sees that debt. When you're printing, you're piling up debt here behind the curtain. And what happens there, that debt never disappears. If you think that debt disappears, you don't understand how the financial systems work. All we're doing is we're taking that debt and we're rolling it over. And we hope the Chinese and the Korean and the Japanese are going to continue buying our debt. But they're not going to, right? If we're printing $1 trillion deficit every year, how long would you be buying the United States debt? So all that debt keeps piling and piling, and now there's interest on the debt, and interest on interest, and so on, so on. And what that results is in a catastrophic event. Every time an empire moved to another empire, it was because a mountain of debt could not be paid. Do you know why Rome was sacked? They couldn't pay their soldiers. They couldn't pay the army. Because they had so much debt that no one would take, they didn't have any more gold, right? They were like, back then you couldn't just run the printing press. You actually had to deliver a gold coin. You didn't have the gold because you already ripped, and for all of the, right, all of the colonies that you occupied, you already took all the gold from there. It took them 1,600 years to do that, right? So when we think about the American empire and we think 250 years, what are we at? I don't know the math. 290? What are we at? 225? That's nothing. We're just a tiny little experiment. So Bitcoin is the only thing that exists today that has limited supply, and we know that no one can cheat that system. That's why it's the non-correlated asset class. It's not because Satoshi is a genius or because math works or I don't know what or whatever, right? It's because we don't have anything else that is not, everywhere else we have to trust someone not to do what they usually do, which is cheat or steal or print or whatever, right? And here we have a system, and all of you guys are early adopters. All of you guys, you're in a tiny, tiny minority, okay? You guys believe in Doomsday. You believe that this bad day is going to happen, and by the time everybody else is going to show up and going to want a piece of this, okay, the prices are going to skyrocket. So today, the only use case today, unfortunately, for the Bitcoin is store of value for Doomsday. That's not enough. That's why this room doesn't have 10,000 or 100,000 people, right? If I was selling some new gambling game, there would be 100,000 people here. FanDuel, whatever, right? Millions of people. But you're telling them, I'm giving you the future, and they're like, I don't need that. So what is the blockchain? Anyone met or saw the blockchain? Anyone took a ride on the blockchain? What does it look like? When you imagine the blockchain in your head, what do you see? A chicken? What do you see? Huh? A counting book, a ledger. Yes, what else? Huh? Network. What else? Come on, be more creative. I know it's in the afternoon and your blood sugar is low and, you know, I'm willing to share my coffee. Mining farms. That's right. What else? I was in the military, so I only see tanks. Why is it a tank? A tank is only good for one thing. It doesn't go in reverse. It goes very slowly in one direction and try to stop it. Let's see what happens. Right? And that's what the blockchain is. The blockchain is actually very similar to your body. Your body, every cell in your body has a copy, an entire copy of you. Just like the blockchain. Every node on the blockchain has an entire copy of the blockchain. So I know we're thinking of this as like this genius new idea, but frankly, we copied ourselves. The whole blockchain idea was copied from this concept that, yes, we're going to have 3 trillion cells, but if we told each one of them what to do, they could actually all work in unison to create this miracle called a human being. Right? And here the miracle is that we can act in our own best interest. Do you think the Fed acts in your best interest? What's the Fed mandate? Fed mandate? What does the Fed do? Why do we need the Fed?
It takes care of the bank.
Low unemployment and low interest rates, which is good for you. How does it help you? Anyone here? It's excellent recipe for the very, very rich. Because if I'm very rich, what do I want? I don't want any revolution, so let's keep unemployment low. That's guaranteed for no revolution. And I need to borrow really, really cheaply. So how do I borrow really, really cheaply? The cost of money is going to be 0, right? For you, it's good if you're buying a house every year. Anyone here is buying a house every year and refund? You know, you're at the wrong conference. This. So the point is that all these institutions that you guys think are acting in your best interest, they're not. Okay, that's why you got to unbank yourself. If you open the shirts, you'll see some of them say, banks are not your friends. Right? So what do banks do? We'll do some role playing here, right? You're a depositor, you make 1%, I'm the bank, you just made a deposit, where does your money go?
Where does it go?
Yeah, yeah. Anyone knows? Where does his money go the minute you made a... It instantly goes to her on her credit card at 24%. So how much did you earn from that transaction? I kept 90% of the value. I'm the bank. Yeah, you got 1. I lent it out at 24, so I kept 23. Are you happy?
But you got to lend it out 9 times.
And then I can do fractional reserve. But let's not even go there, right? What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Did you go to your bank and demand a higher interest? Hey, I know you're lending it out at 24%. I know you're stealing from me. I want... how much you pay your real estate broker when he sells your house? 90% of the value?
Like 6.
6. So why are you paying your bank 90% of the value? All of you are paying your bank 90% of the... How do you think JP Morgan makes $30 billion in profit every year? Billion. That's $5 for every person on the planet worth of profit. Just they can give every person, every year, $5 forever. Because we're all dumb enough to give them our money, hard-earned money for free. Why? Because there's no alternative, right? What's the alternative? Where are you going to put it? So here are all the banks on the left, 1990, that had over 200 billion in assets. Today we're left with 4. And on the background you can see the gray, which is how much interest they're paying us. Every year they paid us less and less and less in interest as they bought out all the other banks. Because 30 years ago your community bank actually paid you 7% and lent out at 9%. Today, try to do that, right? You're not going to find your community bank. They replaced the sign. Now it says Bank of America, and the rates jump to 24%, right? Or they give you a teaser rate, and if you just sniffle or you buy your coffee late, the rate jumps to $24.95, right? The 4 largest banks, these guys, I love them, these guys, charged the poorest Americans $34 billion last year just in overdraft fees. So I love this country, but we're taking the money from the poorest people and we're delivering it to the richest people. Right? Like a vacuum machine. We're just sucking all the money from the poorest people and we're delivering it. Who is the largest shareholder of Wells Fargo or Bank of America? Or you all know the guy. He's, huh? No, not Rothschild, no. Somebody much more friendly and Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is the largest shareholders of the largest banks in the United States of America. He just sits there and collects the dividends. And we're all celebrating him as this amazing investor who's taking all of his profits from the poorest Americans. That's how the system actually works. That's what happens every day to all of us. You overdraft by $1, guess what happens? Warren Buffett gets $30. That's what banks charge for money transfer. Some of you saw me sitting outside for an hour and a half on the phone. I wasn't calling my buddies or my wife. I was trying to do a wire transfer. I'm not kidding. I wish it was funny. They asked me 15 questions, then they called me back, then they sent me a text. Then they called somebody in my company to make sure it was me actually trying to do a wire transfer. And then they charged me $50 for that. It's my money, right? On my wallet, or my Celsius wallet, or with Monarch, you can go and transfer it in a second. Click, done, because you control it. But with the bank decides what you do, right? So again, they give you 1%, they charge you 24%, right? How much do you keep? Right? What we created, what Celsius decided to do was something very simple, and a lot of people think I'm a little crazy. We said, why don't we cut what we lend at by 2/3, and then we'll take 80% of that and give it back to the depositors. Now, banks existed for 700 years. Do you know any company, any banking or financial institution that gives 80% of its income to its depositors? He's laughing. You get a shirt for that. It sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds so crazy. You get the HODL shirt. So it sounds ridiculous. Why would anyone? We're a capitalist country. We're supposed to maximize profitability. We're supposed to squeeze every dollar out of the system. Right? Why would anyone in their right mind would go work really hard, make money, and give 80% to people who are just sitting there and giving them deposits? You have an answer for that. Good. Go ahead. We are what? But my point is no one gives you 80%, right? Even the most famous companies out there who pretend to be acting in your best interest, okay, pay you whatever, 5, 6% dividend out of their profit. So for every $100, they make, let's say, $10 in profit, and then they give you 5% of that. I'm talking about 80 out of the 100, giving you 80% of the revenues. No one does that. No one in 700 years was crazy enough to do anything like that. And I ask myself, why? Why isn't anyone doing that? How many of you use WhatsApp? Most of you, right? How much does WhatsApp give you when you use the service? It gives you 100%. It charges you 0, right? Right? So it gives you back 100%. You have all these people working on technology, making sure it works all over the world, 24 hours a day, charge you 0. So we know how it works on this side, on the internet side. Why can't it work for us on the money side? Why is that? Because no one thought that that was a good idea. No one thought that giving back money to depositors was a priority. You see, all the bank does, when the bank steals from you and sucks all the money from her, and he keeps all the profit, who does that profit go to? 80% of the profit goes to who? We mentioned his name before. The shareholders. So every quarter, the CEO of every public company has to suck as much as possible out of you because he has to give more and more and more to those guys. They're hungry bastards, right? They're like, hey, if you don't give me a higher dividend, I'm just going to take all my money and I'm going to go to this guy because he promised me a higher dividend. So now you have to steal even more from your customers, right? Wells Fargo got caught opening 3.5 million fake bank accounts. They ran out, they couldn't. The vacuum cleaner, you know, sometimes you vacuum and there's nothing left, and they're like, okay, we need more. Where are we going to get it? Open fake bank accounts. Let's charge all these 3.5 million people $20 a month so we can deliver more interest to our shareholders. Did I make my point? Are you joining the revolution? You sure? Because we can go through this again. No? You good? You have more shorts? So, the problem is obvious. It is so chronic, it is so bad, it should be a no-brainer to convince people that this is bad and this is good. Right? It should be a no-brainer. People should be like looking at the banks and say, I'm never giving these guys money again. How many of you are willing to pay Cincinnati Bell 30 cents a minute? You're laughing at it, right? You're like, come on, of course I'm not going to pay them. I can use WhatsApp, it's free. I can use Skype, I can do 20 different services, alternative. I'm never paying these guys anything. Right? But that's what we're not doing with the banks. We have the power. Right? Somebody here mentioned, what's your name? No, your name. What's your name? Warren Buffett. Now that I know the tricks, I'm just going to go and do the same thing. Eric. You ain't no Warren Buffett yet, but maybe when we're done here. So look, Eric mentioned before fractional reserve. The thing that most people don't understand is that when the bank makes billions of dollars in profit, it lends out $10 for every dollar it steals from you. But that also works the other way around, right? If Eric withdraws his dollar and I'm the bank, how many dollars do I have to take away from the system? $10. I have to suck $10 out of the system, and I don't have it. I start panicking. I run to the Fed and I say, hey, I need hundreds of billions of dollars. That's what happened in the repo market. Just because Eric withdrew a few dollars, there was chaos in the system. So we have the fucking power. Just like we had the power to get rid of Cincinnati Bell, and all, they're probably never going to work with me again, but you know, we're here, so we gotta use their names. They all hate me, the phone companies. This VoIP guy, he ruined our business. We had it so good for 100 years, and he came, and it took it all away.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Crow Trader. No longer do you have to be a power trader to make profits in the market. Crow Trader is easy to use, powerful, and customizable. An algorithmic cryptocurrency trading bot that sounds difficult, but makes automated trading a breeze. 6 powerful trading strategies, including Bollinger Bands, EMA Sniper, Ichimoku Cloud, Ping Pong, and others, with more to come. Complete backtesting for every market pair so you can see the effectiveness of a strategy using historical price data. Customize your strategies to operate the way you want them to, and let Crow Trader trade the market while you're sleeping. Save and share your customized settings or load settings of other users from within the community. You are never alone. Tweak your settings until content for best earning potential, and then turn on paper trading to find out how effective your strategy is in real time without risking any capital in your experiments. Run Crow Trader on your favorite exchanges such as CoinBase Pro or Binance, with new exchanges coming soon. With Crow Trader, you are never alone as our growing community aims to help one another find success in the market. Once content, turn on live trading for your market pairs and let Crow Trader get to work improving your position using base pairs such as Bitcoin, US dollar, or Ethereum. Get Crow Trader now at crowtrader.com and start trading today.
So can we do the same thing to the banks? Can we unbank ourselves? Most people think I'm crazy. They're like, the banks have the biggest buildings in the downtown. Every building has a title, right? Bank of this and bank of that. Well, guess what? Do you remember when the phone company used to have all those buildings? Where are all those buildings now? What happened to them? How did we force the phone companies to sell all their buildings? Can we force all the banks to sell their buildings? If we stop depositing, they have to get rid. They cannot continue stealing from us. You understand? They are the ones who are in trouble, not us. We can take our money, put it anywhere else, and we'll be just fine. So the solution, unfortunately, has a lot of problems in it, right? Satoshi creates this amazing thing, right? And he passes the baton. Who took the baton from Satoshi and thought they're going to solve all the problems? You have the answer right there. No t-shirt for this one. Right? All the anarchists showed up. I'm an anarchist. I used to be a black hat, hacking everybody, blah, blah, blah. Don't tell anyone. Right? So did we have enough anarchists to break down the banks? No. So who did we have to hand off the baton to, hoping that they will save the world? Who the second wave of adoption? Libertarians, yeah. Okay, I think I have another one here. Let's see. You take a charger or an extension cord. No. So we handed it off the baton to the libertarians, right? Every time we do a handoff, what happens to Bitcoin? It drops 80%, right? Because when we do the handoff, right, many of the anarchists say, oh, this thing is never going to scale, it's horrible, blah, 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 and not enough libertarians show up, the price drops, and then the price rockets back to new highs, right? So when the libertarians, we only got 3 million libertarians that joined us. Who did they hand off the baton to? I think I have one more t-shirt, so go ahead, come on. Huh? Who was that? I didn't, you did, yeah, all right, very good. Speculators. Right? So how many speculators showed up? I think Cincinnati Bell made sure that I can't present anymore there. About 20 million speculators showed up. The speculator looked at all of us and said, you guys are stupid. It's not about anarchy and it's not about libertarianism. It's all about making money. we're going to pump this thing up to 20,000, and we're going to hand it off to whom? Who the speculator thought they're going to give the baton to? Institutions. Did they bite? Are they stupid? Right? Do you know that Gary Cohen in the White House, did you guys know about that? I'm sure somebody knows about it, right? The Gary Cohen White House anti-Bitcoin thing. You can Google it. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is a documented fact. I don't do conspiracy theories. Gary Cohen at a meeting in the White House, they sat down with Treasury and they decided, how are we going to contain this Bitcoin thing? Because it's getting out of control. We don't want to give it to Goldman Sachs and those guys. We want to kill this thing. And that's when they decided to allow the CME to print futures on the Bitcoin. And that's where all the institutions piled up. They didn't pile up to buy the Bitcoin. They piled up to bury you, all of you. Because that's how you make money, right? If the Treasury and the Treasury Secretary is behind you, are you going to be able to make a mistake? Right? You guaranteed money. And they're the guys that drove the price down, the nuclear winter we went through, down to 3,500. So who's going to bail us out? Who's going to get us to new highs? The public. You already have a shirt. Stop talking. The public, only people like you and me are the only people that are going to get us out of this, going to get us to new high, because they're the people who need the service. Believe me, Goldman Sachs, there is no scenario on this planet where Goldman Sachs wants Bitcoin to be successful, or Morgan Stanley, or Bank of America, or JP Morgan, or anything that says bank or broker in the end of their names. They have a license, a real license, not just a saying. They have a license to print money. They don't need our Bitcoin. So the only way this works is if all of us recruit more people into this revolution. And we're not doing a good job, because most of us are speculating, waiting for somebody else to do the job for us. And like Jason said, everybody who's here trying to preach to you and trying to teach you something is here volunteering. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not here to take money out of your pocket or convince you to do anything or whatever. I'm just trying to give you my point of view of what's happening, and you can decide for yourself if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, great. Come tell me why I'm wrong. So in the phone business, back in the 90s, everybody was betting on ATM. ATM was the killer technology, right? And I got a patent from the US Patent Office in 1994 for voice over IP, because no one thought in their right mind that TCP/IP was the future of communications. They thought it was something you use in case there's a nuclear war or whatever. The government paid for this little experiment, and maybe you can use it to download some sex pictures, but nothing serious, right? And the entire internet ran on the phone network. Remember, you had to use your modem to dial into the server? So when you spoke to the phone companies, they laughed at you. They're like, you're going to do what? You're going to take voice and put it on the internet? The internet runs on the phone network. That's the dumbest idea we've ever heard. So people thought I told them I came from the future. In the future, everybody's using VoIP, and they all have unlimited connectivity. They can actually do conference call like my kids. They just sit in their room with 8 people on the phone, and they're not even talking to them. It's just, I have all my friends right there. Controversial idea I have today for you. I'm telling you here, again, coming in from the future, that the entire internet is just going to be an application on a blockchain. The entire internet, which you think is the entire planet, right? You think the internet is the entire planet, right? Most people in the world are using internet. How can the blockchain is this big? Look how many people we got in the room. I mean, this guy's really stupid. Jason, why did you let me in on stage? How far is the asylum? Are they coming to pick me up in a few minutes? The guys with the coats? So I was right the first time. Why am I right the second time? Because I'm from... That was you? Who was it? All right, you get a shirt for that one. Because you're from the future. That's the last one, I promise. Don't even try. That's it. So because of fake news, because of what's happening every day, we can't trust anything. You cannot trust an article, you cannot trust a picture, you cannot trust a conversation, you cannot trust anything because you have no idea if you're talking to your neighbor or some crazy fuck from I said Serbia instead of Russia, sorry. Where's our Serbian? Right? So the Russians are sitting in Siberia, that's what I was trying to say, and they're hacking us and we think we're fighting with each other. Meanwhile, these guys are like having, it's like running the red robots against the blue robots and you're like in remote control. And no one can figure out if it's really your neighbor or not. So if we can't trust anything, then we're going to have to move to a trusted system. And the only trusted system that exists today is the blockchain. The blockchain can, with 100% certainty, tell you who you are talking to. Is this information authentic, and so on. So we're going to have to migrate. There's no other way. So if you want to have a successful blockchain application, you need these type of services. You need a decentralized app, you need token economics, and you need a secure and immutable blockchain. And this only comes in one package, which is, it looks like a Bitcoin or Ethereum. It doesn't look like Libra. It doesn't look like the Chinese private blockchain, which is what they're trying to create. And it doesn't matter if 1.5 billion people use it, it's still a private blockchain. AOL was a private blockchain, effectively. Do you want to go back to AOL, or you want to move forward? Because that's what China is going to try to create. So I'm not worried about that at all. What I'm worried about is that the rest of the people in the United States and in other countries are going to say what I have is good enough. I don't need to experiment on this new thing called the internet. So I put it in a really simple formula for you. Anyone wants to come and help me explain Einstein theory of relativity? No? E equals mc squared, right? So E stands for? Energy. No, we're in a blockchain conference, not a energy conference. E stands for what? Ethereum. Very good. And M stands for what? No. Again, blockchain conference. Monarch. Very good. M stands for monarch. I like that. I might change my presentation. Right? Members. Again, why did WhatsApp sell for 22 billion it had zero in revenue, zero, just like Ethereum. 11 people who worked there, just 11 people, got $22 billion. Because they had more members. Now WhatsApp has 1.6 billion users. That's all you need. That's how you create value. Ethereum is so valuable because it has the most users on the blockchain. Right? And you need credit. The United States is the most powerful country in the world because we produce half of the credit in the world, even though we're only 5% of the population. Jason is giving me the eye, so it means we're running out of time. The evil eye. Ugh. So think of crypto as a Pac-Man that is just going to eat away at all the other asset classes. Because if I can't trust the dollar, and I can't trust the euro, and I can't trust the stock market, and I can't trust the bond market, where am I going to put my money? In the only non-correlated asset that exists today. Right? And we are over the hype curve. Are you familiar with the hype curve? This is Gartner's hype curve. We are over. We're almost done. Right? With all the hype. Now we're really delivering. Okay? So you're actually coming in at the right time. So how are we going to cross the chasm, right? How are we going to go? Did I say something wrong? So how are we going to go, right? Satoshi was thinking, right? Financial collapse, anarchists, libertarians, speculators, right? We got Bitcoin, Ethereum. What's going to fill up the gap here? What are we going to get in there? Huh? Is it going to be security tokens? Anyone here a big fan? Not a single fan. All right. How about Libra? Anyone votes for Libra? Right? So none of these things are going to get us to salvation, right? I'm actually a big believer in stable coins. Oh, I don't know. This remote is, maybe I should do it by hand. Anyway, the point is, we need to get to mass adoption, and the only way we get there is with the stable coins. All right? So why stable coins? Stable coins are US dollar denominated assets that are crypto, but they're dollars. 99% of people in the United States, if you explain this to them, will say, oh, dollars? And I get to earn 7 or 8% interest? Sure, I'll buy that. It's 7 times better than my bank. You try to sell them Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's too much. That's a bridge too far. How many bridges you got here? Like 31, right? So you guys understand about bridges, right? It's a bridge too far. Most of us are trying to sell people stuff. They don't understand money, the dollar, and we're trying to sell them something that they understand even less about. So my pitch is that we need to give them something like a stepping stone that allows them to transact today. Celsius basically, my company does one thing only. We pay interest on deposits. I think that's a killer app. I think that's how you bring 7 billion people into crypto. You give them something that the banks will never be able to give them, right? And if we can bring them in to buy stable coins, dollars, earn 7%, then a month later you can convince them that they need, Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other project that you like. We announced, we did 4.25 billion in loans in a year and a half. Okay? So think of all the other projects you know in crypto, right? This is not wash trading or exchange, blah, blah. This is loans to people, loans, right? And we paid $5 million in interest to all of our depositors. Real interest to real people who actually earn. We have people who are paying their mortgages or paying for their kids through this interest. Okay? So acting in the best interest of depositors in the community versus all the other guys who are acting on the best interest of shareholders. Who invented the blockchain? Anyone here read Satoshi's paper? Yes. One guy, 2. You're in this revolution and you didn't read the Old Testament, you know? So Satoshi, it's only 9 pages long. On page 9, Satoshi says, I took all my ideas from these 7 people, 7 references. 4 of the 7 references go to this guy, Scott Stornetta, who actually invented the blockchain in 1991. He was working on the blockchain, I was working on voice over IP. It just took him 30 years to become an overnight success, you know? So the only project Scott advises is Celsius Network, out of all the crazy projects you ever heard about. Can I run through these quickly or we run out of time? All right. All right, take pictures. Anyway, exchanges socialize losses, Celsius socializes profits, right? We just take profits, give them back to our depositors. Decentralization is a war between toll collectors and users. Okay? We are on the side of the users. If you keep using the other guys, you're helping all the toll collectors, right? Where are the next 100 million people, what do they need? They need less volatility and more utility. And the only way you bring them in is all of us, have to convince them to trust us with this, right? Bitcoin is doomsday insurance. Stable coins are everyday interest, right? Crypto is here to replace the middleman with middleware. It's that simple. It's just technology, right? But we can hide that. You see, it skipped all by itself, all the way to the end. Bring your friends into crypto. Don't ask what Satoshi can do for you. Ask what you can do for Satoshi. All right, thank you very much. And time for questions or no? Yeah, we have time for questions or no? One question. Okay, one question. Or answers. Go ahead.
Don, from Loreto, Iowa, I've got 4 little girls at home and a little boy. I can't afford a cell phone. I own a little iPod Touch, which I use Skype every day. I want to say thank you. It costs me $60 a year. I tell all my workmates about it. They think I'm nuts. Why don't you go and pay an extra $30 or $40 for T-Mobile? I said, you don't understand. It's $60 a year.
Exactly.
My